And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to your weekly water cooler. And it is April 21st, 2021, and this is episode 50. Big milestone. I can't believe it. We made it to 50. Um, did y'all see it coming? I didn't. But make sure you like us on Facebook. Just find us MPL Adults. Subscribe to our YouTube and McAllen Library. For even more content, weekly videos, daily videos, posts, all kinds of posts on our Facebook page and YouTube. So everyone, welcome to the show. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. If you don't know exactly what's going on, what's up, Hector? A very loyal viewer, Hector. Shout out to Hector. What's up? If you're new here, you don't know what exactly is going on. I'll kind of run down really quickly what we do here. A weekly video stream on Facebook. We stream on YouTube as well. And it's basically just a chit-chat, virtual water cooler kind of thing for those of us or those people who are working at home. You miss your coworkers. You miss the camaraderie of bumping elbows with people at the water cooler, just talking, whatever you talk about at the water cooler. So this is your virtual water cooler with me. I'm the only coworker that you have, so come bump elbows. Let's talk a little bit. Let's chat about what's in the news. So this week I have 2 articles I want to share with y'all. Both of them have to do with like health and psychological kind of thing. Of course, I'm not an expert in any of these things, so I'll go ahead and put that out there. I just thought they were interesting, and I want to share them with y'all. So let's move on to our very popular What's New at MPL. And there goes my gift. Okay, the gifts are working. The gifts are working this week. That's good so far. So what's new at MPL? I'm going to quickly just run down some stuff that are kind of new, some stuff that's been around here for a little while. Cloud Library is a free ebook and audiobook resource from the library, from actually the Hidalgo County Library System. So you just have to, it's super easy. I went through this myself yesterday. You just go to yourcloudlibrary.com, and I'll make it bigger so you can see it. Yourcloudlibrary.com, and then you punch in your library card credentials, your PIN, and you're good. You're set up. You can view all different genres that they have. They have fiction, nonfiction, adults, teens, children's, all kinds of books. You can check out, up to 10 books at a time, and it's really amazing. You can get that on your phone, tablet, or desktop device. Another thing that's also going on here at MPL, this has been around for a little bit, but COVID testing kiosk out in the parking lot. It's right behind Whataburger, if you're familiar with the library parking lot. You just drive up there. Don't need to make an appointment, but if you want to make an appointment ahead of time, check out their website right there, curative.com, for more information. And there are the times and dates that they're out there. I know a lot of people have been calling in to get COVID tested, especially because youth sports is coming back, cheerleading, dance, all those kind of things are coming back to schools. So a lot of people are looking to get COVID tests. So if you need a COVID test, hit up the Curative testing kiosk in the parking lot. Moving right along, what else is new at MPL? This I brought up a couple weeks ago. This is the virtual programming calendar for adults for the reference department. If you see anything that piques your interest, just go ahead and give it the video a pause right now and check it out. Any of these little icons, that means it's a Facebook video you can watch on our Facebook page. If it's got the Zoom icon, that means it's a Zoom meeting link that you'll need to obtain. Anything that says Facebook Live obviously is Facebook live stream. So yeah, check it out. That's the monthly view, and then I'll show the blurbs. If you have any more questions about what exactly something is, I'll make that bigger if you want to give it a pause. Look at that. We're almost at the last week of April. I can't believe it. April kind of just flew by. I know I complained about March being 5 weeks this year, and that was very annoying for March. But April, I kind of wish it stuck around a little longer, but that's just me. But anyway, let's go ahead and look through that and power on here. I think that's it. That's all that I have for what's new at NPL. So the next thing I want to bring up, like I said, it's got something to do with health and sleep patterns and a very serious disease, which is dementia and dementia risks and studies on it. So I want to just briefly bring this up, talk about it a little bit, because it's a bit of a downer, if I'm honest. But I kind of really wanted to bring this up because I thought it was really interesting when I read through it the other day. And it is from the Wall Street Journal. There it is. It says sleeping 6 hours or less linked to higher dementia risk, study finds. You find it here. So a study looking at the sleep habits of nearly 8,000 people in the UK over 25 years. So it's a very thorough study, and it adds to research linking dementia and slumber patterns. Excuse me. So I'm not going to, obviously, I won't read through the whole thing, but I'll kind of just look through it here. And you're just looking at the little picture here. It shows a couple of people on their phones before bed, something you're not supposed to do. Do not, yeah, that's a bad thing because it disrupts with your sleep patterns. I'm guilty of it myself. Actually, I am a big, get on your phone right before bed kind of person. And it's tough because it's bad for you and it's bad for your sleep habits, but your phone's right there. It's so small and compact, and all your friends are on there. So you want to just look at it. I don't know what it is. It's like something in your psyche. It's like, oh, I need to check it one last time. What if I miss something before I go to bed? Oh, I don't want to miss something before I go to bed. So you check it one last time, but it's not good. So it says middle-aged adults who sleep 6 or fewer hours a night may be at a higher risk of developing dementia in later life, a new study suggests. So they looked through all these people in the UK and they tracked their sleep patterns. They had sleep monitors on them, all that kind of thing. And they actually determined that if you don't get your 6 hours of sleep, or at least 6 hours of sleep, later on, you're so much more susceptible to something like dementia. Too little sleep and excessive sleep are linked to the increased risk, but this particular study didn't show a link. Also, kind of depression, obesity, high systolic blood pressure, mental health issues also increase the risk of sleep issues and dementia. So there's a lot of things that link to dementia later on in life, which is I didn't think anything of this when I first read the article. I was like, oh, another thing that's linked to dementia, or like, oh, really? Sleep patterns are linked to that? But yeah, apparently so. So even this is from one of the epidemiologists. Even though we can't say sleep duration has a causal impact on dementia, it would be good to encourage good sleep hygiene. She said that turning off mobile devices 30 minutes before bed. So that's a big thing. Turn off your phone or put it on silent. Put it away from your bed 30 minutes before bed. That's a good sleep routine. And developing an exercise routine could also help people fall asleep more easily. Also, the big thing about like sleeping at least an hour, or I'm sorry, eating at least an hour before going to bed, that's a big thing too. So if you want to give this a read, I'll go ahead and share the link in the chat now. For those of you who want to check this article out, it's from the Wall Street Journal. And like I said, it's a bit of a downer to start off with, but I thought it was very interesting. And if you want to give it a read, go ahead. Okay. So the next thing I thought I'd bring up is actually something that I that I kind of relate to, or at least it has something to do with my family, at least. But not because I think birth order really determines personality per se. Never really looked into it that much. But I am the the youngest of three children, so when I read this article, um, I kind of saw where the author was coming from, and I'll put the link to the article now before I forget. But it's from Time Magazine. Oops. And it says, does birth order really determine personality? Here's what the research says. So, birth order means obviously the order of which a child is born. And this author apparently has two children. And it starts off actually that she feels sorry for her second child. And I thought that was very interesting, because I wonder if that's something that all parents go through, or, yeah, I don't know. That's a very interesting thing. I'm not a parent myself, so I wouldn't know anything about these feelings, but I'll just kind of show it here. Mm. So she also goes through a couple of research experiments that researchers did, and they see that firstborn children are actually more susceptible, or more often they're very, they say, the more successful child per se, out of the, out of the tier of children. So the firstborn always gets, not always, but they found in these studies, but the firstborn child always goes to better lengths in their education, has a better career, um, is more, how do you say, oh, they're fearful of failure, neurotic, and perfectionists, ambitious, undoubtedly to the point of being unbearable. Mm. So that's something that a lot of these researchers looked at, and they go into the theories. And here you go. 1874, Francois Galton, an intellectual all-rounder and half-cousin of Charles Darwin, he published this work here, and he profiled 180 prominent scientists. And in the course of his research, he noticed something particular. Among his subjects, firstborns were overrepresented in all these men of science and natural nurture. So he looked at these men of science and how they grew up, and he noticed that a lot of firstborns were overrepresented. So he saw that a lot of these intellectuals, a lot of these people who were really advanced in their field intellectually, even politically. Well, later on we'll see that even politically this kind of stuff happened, and a lot of them were firstborns. Okay, this also was very interesting when I looked at it. It said the distribution system is called primogeniture, the right of the eldest son as heir, eldest son or eldest daughter. So they went as back as the 15th and 16th centuries in Portuguese nobility. And he said, for example, second and later born sons were sent to the front as soldiers more often than the firstborn sons. So if you were a firstborn son back in 15th or 16th century Portugal, excuse me, you were in line for the throne, right? You were the top, you were the first heir, you were the first one to be in line for that crown. And then it said second born or even third born sons, they were sent to the front line as soldiers right off the bat. They weren't really considered for the heir or the throne. And they often also were also they were also sometimes sent to live with their firstborn or their older siblings as kind of like a servant or like a dependent. Also, second and subsequent daughters were more likely than their eldest daughters to end up in the covenant. So if you're the first daughter, maybe back in the 16th or 17th centuries, or the 16th centuries, 15th, 16th centuries, if you're the first daughter, you're in line you probably get lined up, you get paired up with the firstborn son of another family to go make a family, right? And you're going to be the heir to the throne, to this, to that. If you're a second daughter or a subsequent daughter, you're more likely to be sent to the covenant. And it was also generally the eldest brother who was permitted to marry, after which younger brothers would live with him and his family, dependent and subservient. So if you were a second son or third son or third sibling, fourth sibling, back then in the 16th or 17th century, you were just going to be, living with your older brother and, feeding off of what he gives you, you know, sleeping in a spare bedroom or something. I don't know how they lived back then, but that's the kind of thing that was up back in the 16th and 17th century. That's very interesting. I never really read on anything that far back, but I can kind of see it, especially in these countries, these European countries that have like nobility and monarchies and hierarchies, that kind of thing. Um, this is from another. I guess he's a philosopher. He was Freud's follower, Alfred Adler. He did a study on siblings, and he found that firstborn children were often the eldest identifies most of the adults in their environment and therefore develops a greater sense of responsibility. So if you're a firstborn child, you get seen as like, oh, you get built up as a favorite for a little bit. And then once maybe the parents find out they're going to have another child, the firstborn will be seen as like, oh, well, now I got to be responsible. I'm going to be responsible for this other child who's coming into the world. And then they get all like this burden on their shoulders of being responsible and yeah, being more adult like, right? They grow up a little quicker. The youngest has the greatest chance of being spoiled and often more creative. All children in the middle are emotionally more stable and independent. They are the peacemakers used to sharing from the start. So I can see that as well. If you're a middle child, you have to share with your older sibling, right? Because your older sibling, they're the more responsible one. Okay, well, let's share with the second child. The second child is already used to the sharing system. There's not a lot of fighting already, so they're very easy to share with the younger sibling, and they're the peacemaker. It's very interesting. I can see that definitely in different families. There's more studies here about how different siblings down the line can be different personalities. And I thought that was very interesting because, like I said, I myself am a youngest of three, and I can see it in my oldest sibling that they're definitely more responsible. They've always been the more responsible, kind of calm, very mature for their age. I always thought that they were. My middle sibling, I wouldn't say he's more of the peacemaker, or they're more of the peacemaker, but they definitely have a level head. They're independent, um, and I guess they do like to share, so that's okay. And I myself, I guess I kind of agree of being more of the creative one out of the three. Even though both of my other siblings are both very creative themselves, um, I don't know. I guess I do lean more to the creative side, um, and I do kind of see where these researchers and where these studies do point to. But I thought those were two very interesting little articles that I wanted to share, and I do appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm going to read the comments after the stream is over. So if you're watching this later on in the future, um, yeah, let us know how the future is. It's only 12 o'clock now, so if you're watching this after 5 or something, give us a hello from 5:30 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Thank you for watching, even if it's not live. But I think that's about it for today. Thank you all for watching. drop a like, drop a comment, drop a share. Like us on Facebook, MPL Adults. Subscribe to our YouTube. Just search McAllen Library. And we will see you all on the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. And cue the music.